Lesson 3: The aim goal of a chess game. Part 1. Check and how to escape check. Concepts: how do you win a chess game? What is this check thing? How to get out of check. What is check? Check. Shah. Scat. Attacking the king in chess. Which piece is screaming Shah here? That's right, it's the bishop. Every chess piece in the kingdom is well aware that capturing the enemy king is the way to win, and that being the piece that captures traps him is the way to glory. Before chess became famous all over the world, it was played in Iran, and the word for king there was Shah. Every time the piece would attack the king, the piece would get so excited it screamed Shah as loud as it could. The Shah, hearing his name screamed, would know that he was in immediate danger and needed to move to safety. As the game moved out through the world from Iran, the scream of Shah changed as well. In some countries, it became skak. In others, shak, and even shkikuchak. In English it became check. So, today we say check if we attack the king. You might be thinking that screaming at your opponent while he/she is thinking would be rude, and you'd be right. However, it is considered polite to alert your opponent when their king is under attack by saying check without screaming it in a chess game. However, some people will try to assassinate your king in stealthy ninja fashion by not saying check. Though the player is not required to announce check, according to the rules of chess, you cannot win simply by capturing the enemy king. If you capture the opponent's king because he/she did not know the king was attacked, you simply have to go back to before you took the king, and let him/her choose a different move to save the game. The only way to win the game is to completely trap the king. Checkmate, and we are going to learn about this in just a few minutes. Part 2. First, you need to know the 3 ways of escaping check. Copyright Chessket.com, page 1 of 12. Lesson 3. Escape route number 1. Capture the enemy piece. The c5 knight is not ready to let the black bishop get all the glory. Capture the enemy. Almost always your best option to get your king out of check and into safety is to capture the enemy piece that is attacking your king. Not only is the king saved in this way, but an example is set: if you dare to check me, you shall rot in my prison. Muahahaha. When people are scared like a king who has been checked, they like to regain a sense of peace by showing how powerful they are. The king has been known to throw big parties for any one of his soldiers whom captured an enemy piece that had the nerve to attack his royal highness. Before you consider either of the following 2 options, see if you can't capture the checking piece. Escape route number 2. Block the enemy piece. She's not happy, but the queen gives herself up to save the king. Get in the way. The king, as you know well by now, is a pretty lazy guy. So he's still expecting his loyal soldiers to take care of this noisy check screaming pest for him. If you can't capture him for me, then at least make sure you get captured, not me. He encourages his troops. This may not be their favorite duty, but in the royal kingdom, the rules are the rules. The other pieces must prevent their king from being captured, and so they can often be seen stepping into the line of fire themselves, also called blocking, in order to shelter him. No piece, not even the almighty powerful queen, is as important as the king. In our current diagram, the queen pays the price. Escape route number 3. Run away from the enemy piece. When all else fails, you will see the king running. Run. Lazy as he may be, the king is not willing to get locked away. He just knows the enemy king would come down to his cell and laugh at him every day. If none of his soldiers can save him by capturing or blocking the checking piece, the king will decide to make a run for it himself. Although I'm calling it running, he'll of course only move 1 space at a time. He is awfully old after all. Sometimes just 1 square is far enough to escape getting captured though. Notice here that the king has 4 ways to run away to a safe square: d4, d3, b3, and f5, so it would probably be a bad idea to block with the queen. Copyright Chessket.com, page 2 of 12. Lesson 3. The aim goal of a chess game. Part 2. Checkmate, an introduction to stalemate. Concepts: how to win a chess game. Checkmate. Intro to stalemate. When the king cannot escape. Checkmate. The trap is complete, the white king is done for. You win the game when one of your pieces says check, and the enemy king has no way to escape. They can't capture, block, or run. Setting up a checkmate is very tricky, but you can use logic to realize that it often means separating the king from his allies, the pieces that would capture or block your attacker, surrounding him with your pieces so that he has no safe squares to run to. Finally, apply the deadly blow by giving check. That's right. Don't forget to attack him. Black's bishop on d5 is checking the king on h1. Checkmate. The bishop on c5 guards the g1 square from the king. When a king has nowhere to go, but is not in check, he is stalemated. See, the king is trapped but not attacked. Black missed their chance. At first, everything looks good here for black. Black has captured all the opponent's pieces, chased the poor king into a corner h1 and attacked all the squares he could run to. White's king is quite surrounded. However, you forgot one important thing: you didn't attack him. Since he is not attacked, it is not a checkmate. A king is not allowed to move onto a square that is unsafe. Here the white king has no safe squares. Any move would place him in check. For failing to checkmate properly, the game is declared a draw-tie game. It's nice to share, but with all those extra pieces, black should have figured out a way to checkmate. If white still had another piece to move, it wouldn't be stalemate. For more on stalemate, move on to Lesson 4, Part 3. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 3 of 12. Lesson 3: The aim goal of a chess game. Instructor's Guide. Lesson 3 should give the students a firm grasp of the goal of a chess game, surrounding and trapping the enemy king. They should also begin to understand how to see if the king can escape. Key concepts: checkmating the enemy king is the goal. Check is a way to attack the enemy king. 3 ways of escaping check: capture, block, and run. Checkmate, stalemate. Make sure your students grasp the important but counterintuitive concept that you cannot capture the king. The only way to win is to trap checkmate the enemy king. The ninja joke is supposed to make this idea stand out, but that moment is a good opportunity to add emphasis. Stop and ask the students whether they are allowed to capture the enemy king. Practical notes and advice. Lesson 3. Let the students try the checking worksheet before escaping check. As you go through the 3 methods of escaping check, use the worksheets associated to reinforce the concepts. This will increase retention. Let the students know that the choice to capture, block, or run is going to be an important decision. They will often have to choose which is best in a game. Checkmate is check with no capture, block, or run possibility. When they have a checkmate before their eyes, emphasize that this is the goal of the game. You may want to go over a couple examples from the worksheets in class. Let them know stalemate will be revisited in the next lesson. The point is to re-emphasize that without check there is no checkmate. Do this while the differences between checkmate and stalemate are still fresh. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 4 of 12. Lesson 3. Lesson 3. Check the king. Follow the instructions beneath each diagram. Draw arrows to show the 2 ways the rook can put the black king in check. Draw arrows to show the 2 ways the bishop can put the black king in check. See, draw arrows to show the 2 ways the knight can put the black king in check. Draw arrows to show the 6 ways the queen can put the black king in check. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 5 of 12. Lesson 3. Lesson 3. Capture the checkered. Follow the instructions beneath each diagram. Draw an arrow to show how white can capture the checker and escape check. Draw an arrow to show how white can capture the checker and escape check. Draw an arrow to show how white can capture the checker and escape check. Draw an arrow to show how white can capture the checker and escape check. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 6 of 12. Lesson 3. Lesson 3. Blocking check. Follow the instructions beneath each diagram. Draw an arrow to show how white can block the piece checking the king. Draw an arrow to show how white can block the piece checking the king. Draw an arrow to show how white can block the piece checking the king. Draw an arrow to show how white can block the piece checking the king. Copyright ChessKid.com, page 7 of 12. Lesson 3. Lesson 3. Running from check. Follow the instructions beneath each diagram. Draw arrows to show how the white king can move out of check to a safe square. Draw arrows to show how the white king can move out of check to a safe square. Draw arrows to show how the white king can move out of check to a safe square. Draw arrows to show how the white king can move out of check to a safe square. Copyright Chesskit.com page 8 of 12. Lesson 3 Is this checkmate? In each of these positions, the black king is in check. Is he in checkmate? Circle the correct answer beneath each diagram. Circle the correct answer, yes. Checkmate. No. 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 Copyright Chesskit.com page 9 of 12. Lesson 3 Is this checkmate? In each of these positions, the black king is in check. Is he in checkmate? Circle the correct answer beneath each diagram. Circle the correct answer, yes. Checkmate. No. 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 Copyright Chesskit.com page 10 of 12. Lesson 3 The aim goal of a chess game. Answer key. Worksheet page 1. Check the king. Diagram number 1. Arrows drawn from the rook to d2 and g7. Diagram number 2. Arrows drawn from the bishop to b4 and g3. Diagram number 3. Arrows drawn from the knight to d4 and g5. Diagram number 4. Arrows drawn from the queen to a2, c4, e6, e8, g2 and g4. Worksheet page 2. Capture the checkered. Diagram number 1. Arrow drawn from king on c1 to black rook on c2. Diagram number 2. Arrow drawn from knight on c4 to black queen on e5. Diagram number 3. Arrow drawn from bishop on h8 to black rook on a1. Diagram number 4. Arrow drawn from king on h5 to black rook on g5. Worksheet page 3. Block the checkered. Diagram number 1. Arrow drawn from white bishop on c7 to g3 square. Diagram number 2. Arrow drawn from white pawn on d4 to d5 square. Diagram number 3. Arrow drawn from pawn on g2 to g3 square. Diagram number 4. Arrows drawn from white queen on d1 to e2 square, knight on f3 to e5 square, and best bishop on f1 to e2 square. Worksheet page 4. Running from check. Copyright Chesskit.com page 11 of 12. Lesson 3. Diagram number 1. Arrow drawn from king on d1 to d2 square. Black knight guards c2 and e2. Diagram number 2. Arrow drawn from king on e5 to f4 square. No other safe squares. Diagram number 3. Arrows drawn from king on e1 to d1 and f1 squares. Diagram number 4. Arrow drawn from king on e4 to e3 square. Worksheet page 5. Is this checkmate? Diagram number 1. Yes. Diagram number 2. Yes. Diagram number 3. No. Diagram number 4. No. Worksheet page 6. Is this checkmate? Diagram number 1. Yes. Diagram number 2. No. Diagram number 3. No. Diagram number 4. No. Copyright Chesskit.com page 12 of 12.